Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are new, I'm Nika and I make book related videos. In today's video, I will be talking about Invincible You, Channelizing Fears to Your Advantage by Mehmood R Shariff. So to begin, I have to tell you that I'm very choosy when it comes to self-help or motivational books because I find that in most of them the tone is really preachy. But I was in for a very pleasant surprise when I started reading Invincible You, in that the author really uses a conversational tone. It's very informal and it really is very interactive, the writing, and it really pulled me in, and that's why I continued obviously, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very helpful to me, and keep on watching if you want to know what the top 5 lessons I learned from it were. And yeah, without further ado, let me tell you about the book. So the book is really full of stories from the author's past, his childhood, and although the childhood experiences are kind of different because the author did suffer from a couple of health issues, I think in a sense the issues that he talks about are something that plagues many of us, like that of negativity, low self-esteem issues, a very negative self-image and all of that. And I think in that the author was really able to reach out to me as a reader, to connect with me, and his writing was really great. And I think one of the markers of a great book is if the author is able to connect to the reader, and it's especially so when it comes to a self-help book or a non-fiction book or a motivational book. If you are not inspired by the writing, if you don't like the writing, of course you're not going to be attached to it. Of course you're not going to take away any lessons from it, and that is where this book is different, because it really spoke to me and I learned quite a bit from it. And like I said, I'll be talking more about them later on. Now, the book also talks a lot about perceptions. Perception is basically how you perceive things, how you see something. It's like whether you see it, if the glass is half full or half empty, and that is another example that the author used. What he intends to say through all of the examples, different examples included, is that your perceptions really matter. How you see a situation, it doesn't matter if it's different from the norms, it just should be positive and it should push you forward, because your perceptions are such, they can push you forward in life, make you successful, or they can pull you back, because if they're negative, if they're negative and if they're full of self-hate, self-loathing, that they can obviously pull you back. So it's really important that you try to see the positive in everything, try to learn from everything, rather. And it's very important that when you make mistakes, you do not think that, oh, I made a mistake, I'll never do this thing again. Rather, you should be like, oh, I made this mistake, so this is where I made the mistake specifically, and the next time I do this thing, I'll be sure that I won't commit this particular aspect of the mistake. You know what it is, because the author really included this example of, he once got into an accident when he was on his bike, and his father was really understanding. He told him that next time when you ride the bike, don't make the same mistake again. So the author was really surprised. You're allowing me to ride a bike for the next time even after I committed this mistake? And the author's father told him that, yes, I am saying that because, like, from the next time you ride a bike, you'll obviously be very careful that you do not commit the same mistake again. You learned from this experience, and it is important that you inculcate whatever you learned from this mistake into the next time, so that you do not make a mistake. So it's really important how you perceive things. Your perceptions really matter, and I have understood that really from the book. So the writing style really gets you. I really enjoyed that aspect, especially because when you are reading the book, the author actually included an example of bungee jumping, and I for one am terrified of it, because I've seen all the videos on the internet, on TV and everything, and it really terrifies me. But the way that the author wrote the whole thing, it's like, it's as if you are there. I was feeling excited, I was out of breath because I was kind of nervous, kind of anxious, I was kind of excited. I really felt like I was part of that, and it may sound funny now, but it's really, that was a stranger moment, because I really felt as if I was living that moment, and such is the author's writing power. I think I really felt that I was in that moment. I was ready to bungee jump, and yeah, it was really interesting. And the author also then includes quite a few examples of famous people who have made it there. And what's important is that aside from these examples, he also writes about all the different huge, humongous risks that these people took that led them to where they are today. We as humans are so afraid to take risks. It's like we always think, what if I lose all the money? If you're talking about this in monetary terms, it's like, what if I lose my life? The fear of risk is very, very high in so many of us, and that is perhaps what brings us back, what pulls us back. And it's really important that we assess the risk, see if it's worth it in the long run, and then go for it, because these people made it big based on the risks they took, based on the bravery that they used in that particular moment. He also talks about these people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and all of them, and it was really, really inspiring. Also, kudos to the author for making it really, really systematic. He included 10 different bits, and then he made them into further subdivisions. And as pretty much a newbie to this, it was really helpful for me, because otherwise I don't think I could have, it would have really confused me. But the author really did it in a systematic way. It's like, and by systematic I mean that sometimes you directly learn C, you don't learn A and B, and that really makes the difference. The author has really gone at it from A, like in that particular order, in the correct order rather, and it has made sure that I really understood what he wanted to say, what he wanted to relate to the reader, and it was actually very, very helpful. Once again, stay tuned until the very end of the video in case you want to see and learn all the top five things that I learned from this book. So towards the end, the author also included this bit where he talks about what it is to be an introvert, what it is to be an extrovert, and the subsequent, their corresponding advantages and disadvantages. And then he also talks about what it means to be an ambivert, its advantages and disadvantages, and why in today's world perhaps it is better to be an ambivert, because an ambivert is the balance. Being an extrovert or being an introvert is rather on a spectrum. All right, both are on the extremes, but being an ambivert means you're on the middle, you're balanced. You know when it is time to be an introvert, do introvert-ish things like take some time off for yourself, to rewind, rejuvenate, all of that. And when it's time to be an extrovert with the people, to talk with the people around you, to mingle with the other partygoers and all of that. So I think, yeah, that bit was really, really fun. Especially I really enjoyed it. Overall, this was a really interesting book, and I acquired quite a few lessons from it as well, in which aspect I think the author was really, really successful. I rated a 4 out of 5 stars. And yeah, let me share with you all the top 5 tips, or the top 5 tips which has helped me, which will help me, and I'm sure they will help you as well. So the first tip is to think positively. It's all about perception. Your perception really matters. When something bad happens, don't let it defeat you. Yeah, if you need, take some time off to think about it. If you want to cry a bit, cry about it, but then you have to assess it. What did you do wrong, or what could have gone better, and then use it and analyze it, and then use it in your life. Of course, you have to learn from what mistakes you made. So always think positively, try to see the positive always. The second tip is to be original, and by that the author really meant, and what I understood, this is just a mix of the two, is that don't do things because everyone around you is doing them, even if you don't enjoy it. If you want to do something, do it because you are enjoying it, because it gives you some value. Don't do it just because your best friend is doing it, and you might, for example, take the college scenario. If there are different electives to choose from, and you want to take certain say psychology, but your friend wants to take sociology, you won't take psychology just because you won't have a friend in psychology class, and you would rather be with your friend in sociology, something you won't enjoy. So no offense to sociology, psychology students, I had both the electives, but yeah, be original. Even if it's different from the normal, from the herd, don't be afraid to do it. Go for it. You will learn, you will be enjoying it, you will be happy, and when you look back years down the line, when you look back to this moment, you will be happy that you decided to do what made you happy. Then the third point is to simply have a mentor. A mentor or instructor is a person with whom you can talk it out if you are ever in confusion, and all of that. I think having a mentor really, really is helpful. In my university, we are assigned mentors for us. I have a teacher as my mentor since I'm in my senior year, and I am a mentor for a couple of first year students just because I'm their senior. So it works like that. And with this mentor, I think you should be honest and talk it out heart to heart. And if you think that this particular mentor won't work for you, then you should never be afraid to change it, just because this is your life. You cannot afford to make deliberate mistakes with it. So yeah, that's another thing. Always have a mentor with you. Then another point is to be self-disciplined. It's really important, because motivation won't always find you. It's really important that you are self-disciplined, even when some days you are not motivated to wake up on time maybe and make the bed and all of that. But then if you are self-disciplined, you will push yourself to do it, and I think that's what matters. So yeah, be self-disciplined always. That is something that I try in my everyday life, and it, if nothing else, then actually it makes you stay on top of your game. It stops you from procrastinating. So I think that's really helpful, being self-disciplined. And the last point is simply to be kind to others, to smile every day, to try and be tolerant of the differences around you, and just to be kind to each other. And that's it, guys. We have reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope these tips will be really helpful. They are what I learned from the book, and they sound very simple, but honestly, in real life, do we inculcate them every day? That's a question we have to ask ourselves, I suppose. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading this book, and I think we all should definitely pick it up, because it's actually a really enjoyable self-help book. And I never thought I would say that about any self-help book, because I doubted that any self-help book could be enjoyable. But I'm sure you got what I meant throughout this whole video. If you stick till the end, thank you so much. I hope you really find this video useful once again, and I'll see you again. Take care and peace out.